Thanks for being here and taking the time out of your schedule to watch this live. I want to share with you the number one mistake that most women make in their calendar. Now, before I share with you what that mistake is, I want to ask you some questions. So, do you find yourself saying things like, I don't have time to do that, or I don't have time to work out, or I don't have time to build a business, or I don't have time to spend quality time with my husband, or I don't have time to go hang out with my girlfriends? What is it that you don't have time to do? Share with us in the comments below. I would love to know what it is that you would love to do, but always find that you don't have the time to do it. Now, if you are feeling stuck with your calendar, with your schedule, not sure what one thing that you can do to transform your schedule, then I'm super excited that you're here today, because I am going to literally drop one thing that you can do today to take back control of your calendar, to take back control of your schedule, so that you can do the things that you love to do. I'm going to share with you a story. So back in 2012, I was still working in corporate America. I was traveling a lot, 180,000 plus miles a year. I was doing a lot of international travel. And in my corporate job, what I found that worked was to make sure that I knew what my schedule looked like, what things needed to go where, what I was expected to do, what I was responsible to do. And during that time in my life, my family actually suffered because my schedule was booked literally solid for corporate things. So for my job, my job. Now, there was this one specific trip that my coworker and I took over to Europe, and it was a 2-week trip, and we were supposed to hit 3 countries, and actually 4 countries, and basically explain and evangelize this new technology that the company we were working for was coming out with. So I put all the meetings together. I created the calendar. I knew where we were going to be, when we needed to be somewhere else, what flights we needed to take, what flights were going to get us into a specific place in time that would allow us to get to our meetings, to check into our hotels, to get rental cars if we needed them. And it was planned perfectly to a T. Well, what happened was one of the VPs in Europe heard that we were coming to town and mandated that we add a ton of other meetings to our calendar. So much so that in 14 days, we hit 7 countries, and two of those countries we hit twice and not back to back. Now, I can imagine that right now you are probably having a super panic attack like I was, that somebody just grabbed a hold of my calendar and basically mandated their agenda in my calendar, where I was going to be, how long I was going to be there, what meetings I was going to attend. And I literally, when we took off from San Diego, the beginning day, the first day of that 14-day stint, I literally, on the entire flight over to Europe, was like having panic attacks that this schedule was too jammed. There was no way I was going to get it all done. We weren't going to do our best. We weren't going to be at our best, because instead of going to 3 or 4 countries, we were now hitting 7 countries, and 2 of those countries twice and not back to back. And I was super stressed out. So we landed in Madrid. That was our first stop. And ironically, Spain is on my bucket list of places that I wanted to travel to. And originally we had built where we had about a 6-hour, not 6 hour, a day and a half of leeway to where we could actually see a little bit of Spain while we were there. So we literally landed in Spain, my coworker and I, we landed in Spain. We went from the airport to the hotel. We checked in. We went up to our respective rooms, him to his room, me to my room. We showered. We changed after flying all day. We went downstairs. We had breakfast. We checked out of the hotel. We went to our first meeting. We hit 3 meetings and straight back to the airport. Right. So I never got to see Spain, let's just say. That was the way that the rest of the trip went. It was the most miserable 14 days. And so many other stories. My luggage got lost in Brussels. Luckily, I had 2 bags and had separately packed them so that if one bag got lost, I was still going to be okay. We got into Munich, Germany at like 1 o'clock in the morning, had to drive an hour and a half in a cab to Paderborn, Germany. We checked into this hotel at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, had to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning for a breakfast meeting. So you get my point. You're probably doing the same thing that I was. You're like having a little panic attack for me because it was just super stressful. So the number one mistake that women make in getting control of their calendar is that they don't have structure. That's it. So that trip originally was planned so that I had structure. I knew what we were going to be. I had included some downtime in there, and it was the perfect trip. But then I let somebody else get a hold of my calendar, and all of a sudden that perfect trip went to the most miserable trip I've ever had for work, ever. So in the comments below, if you are hearing me that you have let other people dictate your calendar, and that's one of the reasons that it's out of control, I want to hear in the comments below. I want to know your experience. Has that happened to you? Are you having a panic attack with me as I'm telling you my story of lack of structure? Because it's a real thing. If you don't have structure in your calendar, then you can't be the best that you are. You can't be the most productive because you don't have structure in your calendar. Period. You have to have structure. Think about it like this. When our kids went to elementary school, middle school, high school, what is the one thing that was consistent through all of their classes, all of their grades, all of the grades that they went through? It was structure. The bell rang, you went to class. You sat in class for an X period of time. The bell rang, you went to recess. The bell rang, you went back to class and you learned this. The bell rang and you went to lunch. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. We do best with structure and boundaries. So, what is the number one thing that you can do today, right now, in your calendar that will totally transform feeling out of control with your calendar, that will transform and give you the ability to say no when somebody else puts something on your calendar that doesn't belong there, even if it's a boss? The number one strategy that I used to get back control of my calendar was to actually write it down. I know it sounds super simple, super stupid, super simple. Like, oh, come on, CJ. Trust me. You do for 1 week. You build structure into your calendar and you stick to that structure and you learn to say no. I guarantee you at the end of that week, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, why did somebody not tell me to do this earlier? Because this has totally transformed me getting control of my calendar. Now, I'm going to be sharing in later videos, I'm going to be sharing with you other strategies and techniques, but you got to get this one down first. This is the foundation. So, how do you build structure? You open up your calendar, whether it be in your smartphone or whether it be in an actual written day planner to do, and you open it up and you look at the next couple of days or the next week and you say, what are the things that I need to do, that I need to put in my calendar right now that are non-negotiable? They cannot be moved. They are mandatory. Whatever. Now, those mandatory things should include family time, things for your job, things for your business, things like working out, but there should be a list of non-negotiable things in your calendar, so that when somebody says, hey, can you do a call at this time, you look at your calendar, you're already booked, or it bumps up against another call, and you know that you're going to need a little bit of time or a little bit of breathing room between those calls, and we'll talk about that in a later video. You can say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that time, I could do this time. So it gives you back control. It takes back, it allows you to stop giving permission to other people to mandate your schedule, to mandate your control. Now, I'm telling you this right now. Some of you are stay-at-home moms. Some of you are corporate professionals. Some of you are building your own business. Some of you are in a job. Like whatever your circumstance or situation, this will work. Even if you're a stay-at-home mom and your kids are needing your attention or you know, all over the place or whatever. Even if you work in a corporate job and you have a boss that you report to, it works regardless. And it works regardless because you are taking back control. So I'll give you an example. If you're in corporate America and your boss says, hey, can you do a meeting at this time? And you look at your calendar and it either conflicts or it bumps up against another meeting and you need a 15-minute buffer, you have permission to say, you know what, actually, I'm already scheduled at that time, but I could do it at this time. Your boss is not going to fire you for that. In fact, if anything, your boss is going to respect you for that because you are taking control of your own calendar and making sure that the things that you're responsible for doing are getting done. If you're a mom and you are a stay-at-home mom and you have kids that are running around, I don't care if they're infants, toddlers, whatever, you need to implement structure into your day that flows over into structure in their day, because if you don't, when they get to elementary school and they've had no structure from birth to toddler to, you know, going into kindergarten, and they've had no structure, guess what's going to happen? They're going to go into kindergarten and they're going to go local crazy because they've never experienced structure before. So the number one strategy that you can implement today in your calendar to combat the number one mistake that all women or most women make in their calendar being out of control is structure. So open up your calendars, write out the things that you're responsible for doing, write out the time that you need for alone time, or the time you need to be working on your business, or the time that you need to be working out. Write that in and make it a non-negotiable. There's only one person in this world that should be controlling your calendar, ladies, and that's you.